Okay, hello. Checking the mic works. Okay, great. I'm going to get started a bit quicker today than I usually do, and I'll be talking about the 7 Stoic laws to end negative thinking. And this, okay, I can hear myself talking. Okay, I was opening another tab. Yeah, I will be talking about how to end negative thinking using Stoic laws. It's actually things I've used myself over like the 11 years I've been practicing Stoicism. These are things that have really helped me. So I will be sharing them today, 7 of them. I think they're very easy to incorporate into your life really quick. Some of them, they come with practical exercises that you can do in a few minutes. So you can, like during the stream or after the stream, you can try it out and you can realize like, the things that the Stoics were teaching these things because they really help. And of course, like most of my teachings, most of the things I learned came from these two guys, Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius. Epictetus was a slave turned philosopher, and so like he had a tough life. He had a very interesting life as well, actually, because he was considered the bottom of society, but then he also hung around with people that were at the top of society. So it's quite interesting in the sort of life that he lived, and he's talking about like how to live a good life, and he managed to do it as a slave. And then Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome, and I actually saw him, a statue of him, yesterday. I was in Rome. I got to see him, which is cool. It was very cool. I seen the equestrian statue, and I seen the pillars, the pillar of Aurelius. Hey, Matthew. Hey, Eleanor. It's good to have you both here. Hopefully, I'm not distracting from the football. I understand that I chose the worst time for any English people. I chose the worst time to do a stream, but I did promise that I would do a stream today at this time. So I've just got a live update of the game, which isn't looking too good, unfortunately. Yeah. So today I'm going to be talking about, which is the title, will be the 7 Stoic laws to end negative thinking, and it's principles and exercises that I've actually used in my life. Also, the schedule starts next week. Next week I'll be having the full. The full schedule will go out tomorrow, but it'll be starting next week. So this will be a full-time thing, and it will have a better setup, all that kind of stuff. But as I was saying, these teachings came from people like Marcus Aurelius, he was emperor of Rome. And every time I share anything from Marcus Aurelius, people are like, oh, it's easy for him to say he was emperor. Like, what about normal people like us that actually have hard lives? I don't think there's many people that had a harder life than Marcus Aurelius. Like, from a young age, he was put into the Greek agoge training, and then he had a lot of pressure put on his shoulders. But then he's ill most of his life, sick most of his life. He's outlived 7 of his own children. He loses many loved ones during the Antonine Plague and during the Marcomannic Wars, where he was surrounded by death when he was on the battlefield. And then there was the political assassination attempts, political slander, political pressures of leading Rome. So, he had a tough life, and that's what I like about these teachings. Is like you read it as if it's just a diary of your average person. It doesn't really say like, oh, I had a really hard day leading Rome. Yes, Epictetus. The thing I like about Epictetus, and you might agree with this is just my personal take, is it's kind of like having a really smart friend who is giving you advice. And anytime you have a question, like you're like, oh, but how do you actually do it? He goes even more in depth on like, so there's like any question you have gets answered by the end of his explanation, which I just find really good. Which, I love Marcus Aurelius, but I don't get that in Marcus Aurelius. Oh, that's amazing to hear. That's amazing. Yeah, Epictetus is he's great, and it's also I think a lot of this stuff it starts to what's the quote? Like I actually wrote it for today's lesson. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. You know, reading Epictetus will help. Currently, it will help, but as you read it and you incorporate it into your life over the months, and in my case, over like 11 years, 12 years, I don't know, it starts to seep into your soul. It starts to like it's just you naturally respond to life how the Stoics responded. So I think it's really helpful. And over time, and this is what I'll be talking about today, is like the title says, the 7 Stoic laws to end negative thinking. That's come from my own experience of my long time from my mid-teens to my late teens to my mid-20s of negative thinking, anxiety, rumination, depression, and just being miserable and having a bleak output on life. So I had that, and then these Stoic practices really helped me. I don't even. It's weird. It's weird to say because at one point it was to help me see the world from a better angle and like to be stronger and to make it through every day. But now it's genuinely like to fall in love with life. Like it's. I think back then it was kind of like um, I was still fighting. You know, it gave me the mindset and the perspective to enjoy life and to fight for life and to fight for the good life. But now it's like it's completely switched my perspective. It's like people talk about putting your rose tinted glasses on. It's like I'm finally wearing glasses where I see the world from a perspective that is beautiful and that I love. Um, it's mind blowing how it's applied in my daily life for real. I'm on now, but hopefully having. Oh, you can never stop learning. Marcus Aurelius talks about this. Marcus Aurelius was even with his crazy hectic life and his illness and his age, he was learning right up into like way into his old age. He was always the student. I think that's the Stoic mindset, is the student mindset. Um, yeah, it's very simple. We've grown up in a society that's complicated things, and much of what we are learning is actually unlearning. Much of what I teach is unlearning. It's the same. It is the same with like Zen Buddhism and Taoism. Most of it is unlearning. We've grown up sort of learning these frameworks for life, and this is the first law of today's lesson. And then you start to dismantle this learning and going like, oh, life isn't as complicated. It's not as serious. Um, that's when you said old, I was expecting like 80. Okay, I'm 30, so and I feel great. Except today, I didn't. I've just got back from Rome, so it was I haven't slept yet. Yes. Sorry, I just read your comment, Matthew. That's brilliant. I knew what you were referring to as soon as you said it. No, keep it coming. It means I don't have to click off the stream to watch. It's wonderful stuff. But okay, so I'm going to start in a few minutes. And today's lesson is the 7 Stoic laws that end negative thinking. This is coming from my own personal perspective. These laws, they are universal. I know other people have benefited from them. People I've taught, spoke to about them, they've also benefited from them. But these are unique to me in a sense that these are the ones I like. These are the 7 that I think you will like, and they're some quite fast acting. That's what I like about a lot of Stoicism is the things I like to teach are the fast acting things because it gets you excited. It makes you feel it straight away and it feels good. And then over time, like I said earlier, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. You start to incorporate all these things into your life and it feels great. I was literally just saying this about back pain. Hi, Shauno. It's good to have you here. It's good the fellowship are here. I was literally saying this about back pain. Since I turned 30, I mean, it's only like a 2-hour flight to Rome, and my back was killing my hip, my knees, and like I try to stay fit, and I was just in pain, and I'm walking around Rome, and like my hips are giving up, my back's giving up. So yeah, you turn 30 and you just start breaking down. But I'm the healthiest I've ever been, so it's a funny one, I suppose. Okay, so we've almost got everyone here, and yeah, like I said earlier, yeah, Austria's. I remember you saying you was going to Austria. Hopefully, you enjoyed it, and I guess you was watching some of the football out there as well. I think you said, but yeah, Austria is a beautiful place. Yeah, the schedule, it will be out tomorrow for the full live streams, and I will be starting full time. Not full time. I'm not like becoming like a streamer, although I'm dedicating much more time to it, much more effort, and the setup will be coming, which I don't think is necessary. No one's really complained about, except I prefer a good sound quality. So if I have the mic behind here, I also won't have to wear these headphones, which can sometimes, if I'm moving, rattle. And it means if like things get crazy, I can't get up and dance because I'm plugged into these headphones, which I don't know why I'd be dancing during the live stream, but hey, that's what it is. And yeah, so I was starting soon. Same, I'm actively training again. I don't know how to get up in the morning. Yeah, it's like it's like my bones. My bones don't want to get up. The mind is still sharp, and yeah, my mind is still raring to go. It's just the body's it's crazy. But I feel like it's impossible not to get up early with the sun. Like even with blinds, the sun recently is just shining through. So it's like, oh, I'll get up early regardless, which is a good thing and a bad thing. If I don't get much sleep, it's hard to stay in bed. Okay, yeah, I agree. The sound's not bad. I just really like, from personal experience, listening to podcasts in the past, I really like when it's like, it just sounds really crisp. I prefer that, but I'm glad it's not bad. Yeah, I always find those short flights are worse because they're normally a lot tighter than long flights, and so you have to get up I get up quite a lot and move around just to stay fresh. So yeah, today is the 7 Stoic laws to help end negative thinking. As always, if any questions or any thoughts come to mind, yeah, keeping yourself hydrated. It's like this is my new life mission. I've got each time I do these live streams. Actually, I've always got I've only got 2 cups of water today because it's cooled down. But I've got my water on water. Last time I had loads of water. I think I had 4 liters, and yeah, yeah. It's like it's lovely that the birds are singing to wake you up. But yeah, sometimes you're like, if you didn't get a good night's sleep, it is a bit like especially with kids. Um, yeah, sometimes the kids keep you up at night, and then the birds wake you up early as well. So it's like no rest for the wicked. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm gonna. Okay. Oh, it's good to have you here, Amor Fateh. So that's what we'll talk about. It doesn't. It does. I'm not going to state for fact that it removes negative thinking. It removed my negative thinking. I understand, and I won't get into it too much. I can't even think. Intrusive thoughts, excessive rumination, anxiety is certain disorders where I'm not going to say I'm going to remove it's going to remove your negative thoughts. It removed my negative thoughts. But I suppose if I could put a true title, it would be that it help 7 Stoic laws that help you see the world from a better perspective, where you think less negatively and you're happier and you're less stressed and less anxious. That would be the correct way to say it. Personally, for me, it removed 99% of negative thoughts, which I'm going to get into. Yeah, it's got to be matching. Got to be matching with the cups. I find kids are always like not on the same energy. When you're energetic, they just want to go to sleep and do nothing. When you're tired, they just want to get up and do everything. Yeah, let's all. That'll be rule 8 of the Stoic laws to stay hydrated. Okay, so I will get into it. Today's the 7 Stoic laws and negative thinking. As per usual. Oh, also, Matthew, if you can update me on the score, if it does change, that would be wonderful. Um, yeah, as per usual, if you have any questions, put them in now. I will answer them. I mean, put them in as I'm talking. If anything comes to mind, put it in. Any random thoughts come to mind, put it in. Just literally anything. And we can figure it all out together. Yeah, well, I'm kind of, if it goes to penalties, I'm glad I'm not watching, because I won't be so stoic. Okay. Yes. And as per usual, this will be available on the page. If you have to leave for any reason, just throw your questions in. If you can throw a load of questions in, I'll answer them when I can answer them, and then you can just return to my the YouTube page and you can watch them if you need to. If you've got to go to work, if you've got to go for dinner, if you've got to go for a fancy date, whatever it is you're doing, or you're watching a football game, whatever it is, put all your questions in and I'll get to them. Um, could do a lesson on self-sabotage. It's a topic that I think about a lot. It's a topic I write about a lot, but it's not something I share a lot actually. Which is, in I always find it's something I want to talk about a bit more. Is when I'm in the process of learning something, when I'm going through a lesson or I'm growing through something, I don't like to teach about it. I don't like to talk about it because I find a lot of people teach from a place of learning, which does work, but I feel like I can never actually give an honest perspective on something, an unbiased perspective on something if I'm currently going through that thing. And you see this a lot on social media now. Which I think oftentimes leads to an echo chamber because they don't quite have the answer right. Then a lot of people that are also going through that will latch onto the thing that comforts them and then they exacerbate it and then they go down the wrong avenue. I think you need to finish your journey before you can share your journey. What happens after death? I'm starting to read that the Tibetan Book of the Dead actually, which would be cool. Okay, so I'm going to get into it. Keep talking, and I can multitask. I believe I can. Okay, so this is the 7 Stoic laws to end negative thinking. Now, 99% of struggle exists in the mind, and the Stoics understood this. They also understood that you can fortify your mind, which is essentially removing 99% of that struggle. And from my perspective, I've actually removed 99% of my suffering and 99% of my struggle, especially when it comes down to time and effort put into worrying about things, put into rumination about things, put into anxiety and negative thoughts about the external world. So when I was younger, I was always thinking negatively. It was a constant commentary going on in my head. I was always ruminating about mistakes I'd made. And when I talk about saying that these Stoic laws can remove 99% of suffering, if you look at it from just my own journey, the past is infinite. So any worry that I had that went into the past is just infinite. I could worry about the past all day. The future is infinite and undecided. So any worry I have about the future is infinite, but also it can be as big or small as possible. And also imagination. All the worries were in my imagination, which the imagination is also infinite. So technically, my worries and my struggles could be infinite. And they were. I'd literally probably have thousands of thoughts every single day that were self sabotaging, that were negative, that were depressive, that were worrying, that were ruminating. And now, over 10 years later, after practicing these Stoic laws, I probably have like 10 of these thoughts a day. and for good reason. Most of them are for actual things that I need to deal with. So you've gone from an infinite array of worries and thoughts that were literally like causing me physical illness. They were ruining my sleep. They were ruining my social life. They were ruining relationships. They're ruining everything. And today I have less than 1% of the worries. So I can confidently say that these will remove 99% of your struggles. Okay. So today I want to share with you the 7 Stoic laws that change the way I think forever. Okay. Okay. That's amazing. I need to watch this game back. That is brilliant. So last minute as well. Okay, Rockhead, it is good to have you here. It is real good to have you here, hopefully. Just getting into this lesson. This will also bring you some strength and peace of mind. It's not me. It's these Stoic, and that's what I always try and say, because sometimes people are like, who are you to teach me? Someone literally sent me a message the other day, like, you're so young. Why would I ever listen to you? You don't know nothing. So yeah, I'm not like, I don't claim to know, well, I don't know nothing, but the point is I'm just sharing these guys. That's all I'm doing. And I've spent over a decade reading them and studying and practicing them. So I get which ones work for me. And hopefully just by sharing my journey, it will also work for you. Okay, so law number 1 is the wooden box. This is probably the greatest thing that I learned in life. So there's this philosophical concept that our lives are a box, a wooden box, and it's given to us. So from a young age, I believed I was given this wooden box called William. And this wooden box represented who I was. It was what my soul was comprised of. And in that image, the way I saw it was I was anxious, I was a loser, I was small, I was weak, I was feeble, I was depressed, I'll never be happy. I literally thought I was cursed to never be happy. And I felt like it was a sin to ever smile. Like anytime I felt myself being happy about life, I felt like, who am I to be happy? And this was my box. And of course, many of you listening, you might have a box that you think represents you. So whether it's Alan or Matthew, or I don't know anyone else's names except for their username. But whoever it is, you might believe you have this box that represents you. And it's comprised of your characteristics, your past. Usually it's comprised of the past. And this can hold on to a lot of negative traits. And this is the way I always felt, that I was depressed, I was anxious, I was miserable. So I carried this box everywhere I went, and I stayed within the confines of this box. But then I learned this idea that we are given this box that is us, but we're also given the tools to shape that box. And I didn't quite know what it meant, but I at least had the confidence that I can shape this box. And what we're doing today is I'm sharing these tools. And a lot of what we learn in Stoicism is the tools we're learning. The Stoics compared it to being like a doctor, that a doctor has all their tools, the scalpel, the forceps. If you watch me enough, you know I love that analogy. And they keep the tools sharp, they learn how to use them, and eventually they become a very proficient doctor. So I had this idea that I could shape this box. So that confidence carried me through the days. And what that meant was I didn't have to keep sticking to that same narrative. And now when I'm walking to work, well, walking to the bus, when I'm sat on the bus, I was always thinking, I'm a loser. I'll never be happy. I'll always be miserable. I'll always be depressed. I'll never have a good relationship, good friendships. I'll never have any of that because I'm William. I'm this box. But holding the confidence that I could shape the box led to me, anytime I says I'm miserable, I'm a loser, I'd go, no, I'm not. It's not true. And it felt fake. It felt really fake. But over time, I felt shape. The box started shaping. And I didn't really know what I was shaping it into. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I realized it was malleable. And then, as we're going to learn about the other tools, is you can really start to define who you are. Yeah, the box is, yeah, the box is identity and ego. It's a bit more of a philosophical concept than them, but essentially it is built up off of the ego, especially like yeah, like Eleanor said, we're not our mistakes, but our ego is mostly comprised of our mistakes because it's there to protect us. So it's built from the past. So when things go wrong, we build this identity of ourselves to keep us within that box, because last time we stepped outside of that box, it hurt. So yeah. So we can shape that box. And today I'm not going to exactly explain to you how you can shape the box, but holding that belief will be helpful. And a lot of ways you can shape it is through like gratitude practice, getting outside your comfort zone, even seeking discomfort, being a bit more adventurous, being a bit more fun with life, a bit more playful. You know, Alan Watts says the mistake we make is we take serious what the gods made for fun. So when you start to see that, even Mike Tyson said that as well, that life's not so serious, life's just a joke. Tukul Lobsang says that as well, which I think is so interesting, that you've got these different people saying the exact same thing. But life is a bit of fun, and you can just start to shape that box any way you want. And if you shape it a bit wrong and you're like, oh, that wasn't quite right, try some other things, start to define who you are, and you can do it playfully. So part 2 is to focus on what you can control. This is the dichotomy of control. So Epictetus says in his discourses, his Enchiridion, his selected writings, which I like the Penguin version. I got to support Penguin because they supported me, and I do actually really like I just like something about their books. They always do a wonderful job with the translations. So Epictetus said in that book, he said, some things are within our power, others are not. Within our power are our opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion. And in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power, our health, our wealth, our reputation, our office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. Okay. Before I move on, does anyone have any questions about that, about the dichotomy of control? I love Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's such a fascinating character. I think so fascinating. I remember, I think it was Tony Robbins. Obviously, Tony Robbins has worked with some incredible people, some of the most interesting minds to have ever lived, like literally the most famous, the most interesting, the most successful people that have ever lived. And I remember seeing an interview where he said that Mike Tyson was the most fascinating person, like the way his mind works. Problem itself, I think it's to prove to yourself, and your mind is always looking for evidence and going back to the past. Yeah, exactly. And it's only doing it to protect you, but it doesn't mean you have to stick to that script. Once you understand this, and it is like the box, once you understand that it can be shaped, you can still look at the past, you can still look at your mistakes, but know that it does not define you within the present moment. Okay, so there's no questions on the dichotomy of control. Okay, so ask yourself, is this actually within my power? If it is yes, then you act. If it is not, then you just stop feeding the idea. So there's this, where would it be? Yes, Mike is very impulsive. I think that's something he really struggled with. But you can see that struggle in real time. I find it quite fascinating to see sometimes when he's like dealing with certain emotions. You can actually see him cognitively working through them. Yeah, I'm not supporting like everything Mike Tyson does. I'm just saying I find him so fascinating, and some of the stuff he says, his life philosophies have changed my life. Okay, so things that aren't within your power. It's okay, yeah, it's hard to remember this when stress does arise, but it's good to remember this, and I'll give you an exercise that is helpful. And you probably disregard it. I know I disregarded these sort of things for many years, but when you actually try them, it's just a good reminder. It's like a friend or a guardian angel or like a parent or someone just standing over you going like, hey, you don't need to worry about this. It's okay. So other people's opinion, the future, social media, outcomes, the weather, if your football team wins or loses, which looks like England's going to win, whatever it is, all these things are outside of your control, and you don't need to feed them. If they're stressing you out, if they're worrying you, and it's outside of your control, it is literally pointless. And like you said, it's hard. It's hard to remember when it's stressful, but it's worth remembering. Okay, so An example I'll give, this is, I used to really overthink everything. I used to plan too much for everything. I used to ruminate about everything. If I had a meeting coming up, well, actually, if I just had to go to the shops, I'd be thinking about that for the hours leading up. Oh, what if I bump into this person? What if I embarrass myself? What if I get my bank card? What if I lose my bank card? What if I get stopped because they think I'm stealing? Whatever it is, I'd like be worrying about this so much. But then I'd have, like, if I had a meeting, I'd be worrying like, oh, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I embarrass myself? What if I forget my notes? Whatever. And then the day comes where I have a really important meeting. In fact, it's life changing. It's probably the most important meeting I've ever had. And it was set for like 2 weeks in advance. And I knew it was coming. And my whole life I had ruminated, overthought everything, and worried about everything. But for some reason, I decided for this meeting, this thought I held in my head, I said, I can't do anything about it. I can't, like, all this thinking about what if they do this, what if they do this. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not them. They're going to show up and they're going to be the way they are. And then I just had this belief. I thought, if my 20, whatever years it was, 25 years of life have not prepared me, my character, for this moment to deal with someone in a way that I'm happy with, what's 2 weeks of worrying and lack of sleep going to help? Because that's what I do. I just stay up all night worrying. What's that going to help? What's all of these thoughts going to help? And I know, like you said, it's hard, but when I held that belief that it doesn't help, it will never help. This overthinking about things outside of your control will actually never help the outcome. When I held that belief, anytime there's thoughts come to mind, and I'm talking like, if you're an overthinker, you know, it's like thousands of thoughts an hour, and you know, you feed all of them at the start, but then when you understand that they don't help, maybe you feed half of them. So half of them you let go, half of them you let go, and then one day it's 40%, 30%, 20%, 10%, 5%. Then it's 1%. Sometimes thoughts are worth giving, feeding. Some thoughts are worth feeding. Some things you have to deal with in the present moment. Some things are real and you have to deal with. Okay. So I'll give you an exercise that you can do. Let's just get through these comments. One question on dichotomy of control. When it comes to people, we don't control their response, but at the same time, we need to set boundaries and expect them to act in a certain way. You don't have to expect them to act in a certain way. You set your boundary. You do that for you, right? And I recommend setting a boundary. I spoke about this last week. Setting a boundary is not building a wall around you. It is building a door. And that door is that you can open up and close to the people that deserve it. But it's also so the people that actually respect you enough and want to be in your life enough, they can come to that door and knock on it. So you can't expect them to be a certain way. If you set up your boundary and they decide to just go away, that's on them. You can't drag them in. But where is the question? You said about we don't control people. So yeah, you don't control the person, but you're setting a boundary for yourself, because a boundary is the line you will not cross. It's something you don't want to be crossed either. So you're doing it for your own peace of mind. You're doing it for your own mental health. You're doing it for your own well-being. People that respect you, they will respect that, and that's all you can really hope for. You can't really expect anything because people don't behave the way you want. I remember talking with Shi Hengyi at the Shaolin Temple, and he said the person closest to you, because we was talking about the dichotomy control. He said the person closest to you says, do they ever do things that you don't expect? Do they ever do things outside of your expectations? Do they ever act out of character? I was like, yeah, quite a lot. He goes, what about the people next closest to you? Friends. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. He says, so how can you ever expect strangers in the world to respond how you expect it to respond? I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. But he always makes things so simple. If you ever listen to some of his stuff, he's just so, you will understand it when he talks. We do have God. We do have God, and it's all being taken care of. You don't control others and their minds, but you control yours, and training it will help you not to react at them. But yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes things click overnight, and I am the evidence for that. Things have just clicked in my head, and then overnight, like something's changed. But some things, like most of what I've learned from Stoicism, has taken a decade to learn. Most things worthwhile take a long time. unfortunately, but some things just click. Overthinking can make you physically seek even, but then comes the suffering and all good things we can learn and achieve through it. Then comes up. I'm not quite sure I understand that question. Can negative visualization ever become counterproductive by making us too defensive instead of proactive? How do we avoid that? So the whole point with negative visualization, from my understanding, the way that helped me, is you come to terms with it. You find peace in it. You accept it. You're okay with it. You love it. And if there's negative thoughts attached to it, if there's negative feelings attached to it, and negative emotions attached to it, then it's not right. It's you really accept this thing, and there's like an acceptance and a love. It's kind of like you're like, this is God's way. I remember talking to Bailey quite a while ago, and she was saying about the analogy of a dog. There's a brownie on the floor, a really nice brownie, and the dog wants to eat the brownie, but the owner is like dragging the dog off the brownie and like saying no, telling it off, and the dog just can't understand. It's like, why is my owner punishing me? I thought he loved me, and now there's something I really love on the floor and I can't have it. How did I get onto that topic? I'm trying to think what my point was there. The point was, I don't know what question I was answering, but the point was, is like, God. The dog didn't know that the owner was looking out for it by stopping it from doing that thing. And we have to accept that some of the things happening in our life is God's way. It's the universe's way. It's life's way of getting us through this thing. It's the right thing. We just can't see it just yet. So when the dog thinks, oh, I can't have that brownie, my life is in shambles. When we go through difficulties, we might think, oh no, this difficulty is God punishing me. But sometimes it's just a life lesson. Like I say, the obstacle is the way. I struggle not to be able to provide enough for my wife and kids. I have health issues for many years and try not to beat myself up about it. My mind is much stronger than my body allows. That's yeah. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's tough. That is tough, but that's the dichotomy of control. Unfortunately, it's like because I always say, like, our body's not in our control, our health, and people always rebuttal that, like saying, well, my health's in my control, I can eat healthy. It's like, no, life gives and life takes, but mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. Your character is everything. The standards you set to the people you love is everything. I'm glad your boundaries are going well, Eleanor. I think I'm hoping you start to notice how good it is and how well people respond to the boundaries. I'm going to get back to the exercise, right? So this is the dichotomy of control. You've come to the end of your day, and I think, was it Matthew saying this about it's hard when we're in the moment, right? You come to the end of the day, you write down a thing that happened. So whatever it was, this thing happened, and you're worrying about it. It's the thing that's on your mind that you're worrying about. Write that at the top of the list, top of the piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle, and then write in my power, not in my power. And you write down with that thing all the things in your power. And normally it will look something like this: how I respond to it. That's in your power. My opinion about it. What I decide to not do, what I decide to do, that kind of thing, right? And then not within your power, you put whatever it is. Jimmy's behavior, Rebecca's opinions, the financial market, whatever it is. And that list will be huge. All these things not within your power, it will be huge. And you're looking at this list because it always looks the same. You have one side where it's like 2 things that's within your power, and then 100 things not within your power. And technically speaking, you should be able to let go of the whole right side, not within your power side, and just focus on what you do control. And it sounds so like, oh, it's easier said than done. It is, but when you do it, it will really help you. And then you keep doing it, it really helps you until you get to a point where you just like, you don't care about those things. Like, it really doesn't bother you. It's like, you're like, oh, it's outside of my power. Who cares? I'll focus on what I do control, how you respond to it. love it, just from your place. When you visualize after I said to yourself, okay, but that's not my time. I'll help to reduce it in the future. Hello, friends. Our romantic relationships based on our egos. Right, I'm just making sure I get back to everyone. Our romantic relationships based on our egos and nature's pull to procreate. I was very attracted towards my ex-girlfriend, but later I sensed a mismatch in values, questioning relationships. Now, this sort of thing isn't linked with Stoicism. My perspective on relationships is linked to Jungian psychology. I believe that we seek our spiritual growth. We seek our spiritual growth. We find things in people, and you only realize that looking back. So someone might represent something that your soul desires. When I say your soul, I kind of mean like the part of your psyche. But we can speak in spiritual terms. A part of you seeks that. So someone might have a confidence that you desire. Someone might have a zest for life. Someone might have a rigidity that you need, productivity, proactiveness. I do believe we seek things in people. We seek a lesson in people, and sometimes we even seek the pain from that, so that we can overcome something that a childhood wound. We're essentially healing childhood wounds. Now, I'm not going to get too into this kind of thing because this is not what I'm here to teach today. But I do talk about that stuff on Instagram sometimes, and I will be talking about it more when I'm doing more live streams. But today I'll be sticking to this. But I can't say for certain. I just, from my own perspective and the people I know, is it seems that looking back on relationships that fall apart, you realize that you were seeking something, and if you face it with honesty, you seem to come out on the other end with so much growth and healing a certain wound. And it seems that we're trying to become whole. And you find two halves and you try and make a whole, but sometimes those halves will never stay together, but they can heal each other separately. So that half and that half can go off and go into the next relationship, healthier mindset. We're all dealing with wounds that lead us to make bad choices. Not even bad choices, lead us to hurt people. But through others, we can heal ourselves, and they can heal us. Okay. But yeah, that's just my personal perspective on these things. That's not the Stoic perspective. Okay, so part 3, separate facts from fiction, or facts from stories. Separate facts from stories. Most suffering begins with interpretation. So an example is this: the fact, I feel anxious. The story, something terrible must be happening. And if you read in Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, he says, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And that is Meditations 8:47. Which I've got a different translation here. If your distress has some external cause, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your own judgment of it. And you can erase this immediately. Okay? So this idea is something the Stoics called, sorry, I correct myself there. This idea is what modern interpretations of the Stoics call catastrophization or decatastrophizing. The idea is that we create a story about a feeling or about an event, and then we catastrophize it, right? So, like the feeling, I feel anxious. You create a story around that. Something really bad, something terrible must be happening, something awful, something world-ending, something horrible, something tragic must be happening because I have this feeling. Or if someone's rude, we create a whole narrative around it other than that person said a comment. And that's all it ever has to be. But we create stories around it. And oftentimes the story is there to protect our ego. We need a story to protect our narrative, to protect our ego, to protect our perspective, right? So this idea of catastrophizing, I'll tell a story of the Stoic. he's on a boat, he's on a ship, he's on a voyage, and he's with a load of people, and there's a great storm, and they're on the verge of like death, and this really strong Stoic man, all these people were like, oh, he's the great Stoic. He gets scared, his face goes white, and he's like shaking, physically shaking. And afterwards, he returns back to normal, he relaxes, and a few hours go by, and some of the crew members, people on the ship, come up to him and goes, I thought you were Stoic. I thought you didn't care about these things. You looked scared. And he goes, well, yeah, there was a real danger there, and my body responded to a real danger. But afterwards, once the storm had passed, that was it. There was no more storm in my mind. So I wasn't worried about it. Whereas the rest of you are still worried now, still shaking now, still worried about a storm that has passed. And it's this idea of like catastrophizing. Our emotions, our well-being is living on stories. And this is what I was doing when I was young. I talk about this all the time, right? When I was a builder, I was depressed and anxious all the time. I'd be walking to and from the bus stop, and I'd be just making up a story like, I'm a loser, the world hates me, everyone hates me, everyone's out to get me, like God's punishing me. I was like, none of that's true. I just had a bad feeling. Like I had a physical, not nice feeling in my chest. That was it. My head wasn't good. That was it. In that moment, that was it. It tells nothing about my life. And once I stopped telling stories, I always say to people, stop telling stories. Stories are dangerous. They're very dangerous. You know, if someone behaves a certain way, you don't need to tell yourself a story about how they behave. You don't need to tell a story about what their comment means, what their behavior means, what their glance means. It was just a glance. It doesn't matter what it means. It doesn't matter because your interpretation could be so wrong. And I always find it, especially when you go through difficult relationships. I'm talking friendships, work relationships, romantic relationships, whatever it is. You create a narrative, and you oftentimes find, especially when you create a villain, years later, you speak to this person with a new outlook and you hear their perspective and you're like, oh, they weren't doing all these things. They weren't out to get me. They weren't doing this. They was having their own pain, and that's it. Cool. Okay. Drink some more water. Any advice? Stop watching TV. Oh, England did win. I think there's something beautiful in the simplicity of life if you can just hack away at the unessential, like Bruce Lee says, hack away at the unessential. The closer to the source, the less wastage there is. If we're so full of like things, news, TV, film, social media feeds, everything, it's way too much, like way too much. We don't need all of that. It fills our minds. It makes things too hectic. It gives us too many things to compare ourselves to. Just try simplify it. You can just sit down and do nothing. It's quite beautiful. I always say, if like you can enjoy the nothing, then when other things happen, it's like that's a bonus in life. Yeah, that's what I love. I love that story. I learned that story from Donald Robertson actually. I can't remember if he told me like on the first talk I had with him. I can't remember when, but he told it better than I did, if I'm honest. He had the names to go with it. I can't remember the names. So I felt anxious about a job interview. I don't have enough experience in my current role. That made me feel insecure backed by the story that they won't entertain me. Yeah, the thing is like you don't know, like you don't know how someone's going to perceive you. So if you're going in there thinking they're going to perceive me wrong because I don't have experience, you really don't know. You just set yourself up for failure. If you go in there as yourself, you could fail, you could do well, but you're getting off on a better start. And I always think, like most people, I think it was you, Shanu, who was saying you overthink. I might be wrong. Sorry if I'm wrong. But especially for people with active minds and overthinkers and ruminators, it's like we choose to see ourselves in the worst possible light. We choose to really put ourselves down. And oftentimes that's not how the world sees us. Most times, like the world probably thinks you're a great person and really admires you. But in your head, you're like, put yourself down and think like, oh, everyone's going to hate me. At least that's from my perspective. But I feel like a lot of people are similar to that. What is that? That women can't be Stoic. Yeah, the whole women can't be Stoic thing. Jeez, that's the one thing that causes a lot of arguments for some reason. If I ever mention it, they're like, because I like to talk about the women in Stoicism. I think there's some really cool stories. And I always say that, I always say anyone can be Stoic. It's like, it shouldn't be controversial. Anyone can be Stoic. That's what the Stoics thought. And you always get a load of people like saying like women can't be Stoic. And I know from firsthand experience, the most Stoic people I know in my life are women. And like people I really admire are women. And I've seen it firsthand, women Stoics. Would you believe? It's really hard to grasp for some people. Do Stoics believe in astrology? Not like modern Stoicism doesn't really teach about astrology, right? Doesn't mean Stoics can't believe in astrology. And the ancient Stoics, they believed in many things. They believed in the conflagration of the world. They believed in a lot of things about how the world came to be and the meanings of everything. But the middle Stoa and the late Stoa didn't really teach about those things. Which I just don't think astrology is not necessary to Stoicism. But if you want to believe in astrology, I have my own thoughts on astrology, and a lot of my beliefs are in line with Carl Jung, because I find that guy so interesting. Yeah, Masonius Rufus did say women can be Stoic. So that's a good one. That's a good good bit of knowledge there. Can being Stoic clash with your religious beliefs? Not, I don't know. Maybe some religions, not that I know of. I know Stoics who are Catholic. I know Stoics that are Muslim. I know Stoics that are Jewish. I know that's all I've got off the top of my head. Or shall I say, like Muslims that practice Stoicism or follow Stoicism. I don't know how you would say it, but it's like they're not opposed to each other. But I can't say for certain if certain religious texts speak of not practicing philosophy. So I won't say for certain. But from my perspective, is you can be religious and Stoic, 100%. In fact, like the Christian writers kept Stoicism alive in their writing. Okay, right. I'll get back to some of these questions, but we'll get to the next part. Law 4, turn obstacles into training. Instead of asking, why me, ask, what is this trying to teach me? Marcus Aurelius talks about it. The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in the way becomes the way. He talks about this in his meditations. And it's something I live by now. You know, it's the Stoic concept of the wrestler. Marcus Aurelius talks about this. The wrestler is that the art of living is like dancing, the art of living is like wrestling, not dancing, in that you stand ready for what life throws at you. And that is the way of the wrestler. But the thing is, so like all these Stoic principles we're learning, that's the wrestler getting stronger, practicing their technique. And Marcus Aurelius says, if you're given a difficult challenge in life, it's not to punish you. If you want to be an Olympic level wrestler, you would want an Olympic level partner to spar with. So Marcus Aurelius is literally saying, like, when you're given difficulties, that's God saying, you're ready for this. This is what you need to train you. Epictetus, I'm mixing everyone up today. I'm tired. I haven't slept from traveling. Just my excuse for the day. One of the Marcus Aurelius, I think it's Epictetus, says this, is like, no, it's like, my mind's fried. What would have become of Hercules if there were no stag, no boar, no hydra, no lion, no evil to rid the world of? He would have not become the great Hercules. He would have just rolled over in his bed and wasted his life away. And that's what the Stoics talk about. It's like all difficulties are there for you. And even if even if you don't believe in God or like the universe giving you these gifts, it's like it's kind of the way I saw it for many years. Is like, well, I've been given this pain, this suffering is here. Like this thing has happened. I can't change it, but I can take some gold from it. Out of suffering can spring gold. Out of pain can spring beauty. And I genuinely believe, like, now when I go through, like, when I'm faced with real difficult situation, I'm faced with pain, I'm faced with confusion, my first thought is like, oh no, this is bad. And I'm like, nah, what can I learn from this? What will I get on the other side? What is life teaching me? And it gives me a fire in my belly to, like, go through it with honesty, go through it sticking to my character. And now looking back, all my darkest periods of my life have made me the man I am today. They've given me the greatest gifts. I'd say the worst pains I've ever had have resulted in my greatest gifts. And that does come about from not having a victim mentality. It comes about being honest with yourself. I was talking about this last week. I think I spoke to Alan, and you spoke about it a lot, about being honest. I believe trying the Pythagoras's technique of reviewing the day with honesty. Hopefully it's going well. I think I gave that homework, actually. But like, when I think back at all my greatest pains and obstacles, they've all resulted in the greatest gifts. So, that hopefully that inspires you with a bit of confidence. Like, if you're going through something difficult now, you're going through something confusing. Out of confusion springs wisdom. If you're going through struggle, out of struggle springs strength, springs discipline. Out of relationships, like bad, like conflict, springs compassion, springs love. So yeah, let's see as I get onto the next one. It's like every hardship becomes practice. Every difficulty becomes something. And a lot of people, like, it's like that thing. You wanted strength, like you asked for strength, and got, like, again, I'm not saying everyone's religious. You asked for strength. God gives you weights to carry, and now you're complaining. You asked for patience. God gave you difficult situations to teach you patience, and now you're complaining. It's like saying, like, I want to be really strong, and then someone gets you a gym membership, gets you a training program, and you're like, well, I'm not going to lift weights. Like, that's someone trying to help you out. So hopefully that it filled me with confidence when I first thought about life that way, and now it inspires me. Like, when I'm given difficulty, it really inspires me. It fills me with a fire in my belly. Okay. I'm just curious, as astrology is kind of science, just like math and physics, and many of them in ancient Greeks are mathematics. Yeah, they it's something they talk about. It's not something I'm an expert on, but these things go hand in hand. I can assure you, if you want to practice astrology and you want to practice Stoicism, you can, 100%. They won't, like, it's fine, but it goes. It can. I'd never thought about this, actually. It could contradict if you have a reading and it's a negative reading. It's got you stressed about things outside of your control. Then it would conflict. So there is that to think about. That's something I've not actually thought about before. Is it similar to believing suffering is necessary for growth? Jesus certainly had some Stoic. Yeah, hell yeah. There's something going on in history with all these overlaps, or they were just learning from like adaptations of the certain teachings. I don't know, but there's a book, I haven't read it yet, Jesus and Stoicism, and it talks about, like, this overlap. Haven't read it yet, though. Is suffering necessary for growth? I can't say for certain, but in my case, suffering's been a gift. In every single circumstance, suffering's been a gift, and that's all I can really say. Astrology tries to predict what's about to come. Stoics don't care about that. Epictetus has said about the same in discourses: when you can gain peace. Right now, why worry? Yeah, that's right, Shana, about the astrology. Now, I still think I'm not gonna bash astrology. I think it's really cool. I think what people do the reading is really interesting. But yeah, it's like, if you're worrying about things outside of your control, there is a Stoic quote about this, about the a crow croaking. It's like I can't remember it exactly, so I'm butchering it. But the point is like, is that bad luck? Is it good luck? Well, why don't you decide to just take the good luck? If you're, I'm trying to think of one, like a bird pooing on you. People go, that's bad luck. People say it's good luck. Just go, that's good luck. It's good luck. It'll be like, whoa, it's good luck. And I suppose that's the same with astrological readings. Is if it's a preferred, if it's preferred and it's pushing you in a good direction and you're still acting in accordance with virtue, I don't see the point in it. Hey, hi, you're back. You're back. As you was the last of the fellowship that hadn't shown up yet. Okay, where are we? Yeah, the a lot of philosophers talk about hair and beards, and I don't know if I'm on about the same one as you about having the long beard. No, that's which philosopher is that? Talk about like you don't need the long hair and you don't need the long beard to have the image of the philosopher, um, but you can do, and that's like a lot, like what a lot of the Stoics say is like Seneca talks about it a lot as well. Is you know because I think he was going against some of what like some of the earlier Stoics said about like you need to do this, you need to do this. He says, well, like um, or you need to give up belongings. That's an example. You need to give up belongings. You need to live a life of no belongings. It's like if you've got money, you've got money. Like giving it up is also an action of um, like it's unnecessary. Why would you have to get rid of your money? Like yeah, you don't need to keep getting more money, but you don't need to just give it up. You can just have it the way it is. Um, okay, right. Okay, part 5. This is a good one, but okay, I'll just get into it. Memento mori, which is Latin for remember you are mortal or remember death or remember your mortality. It just means it's the practice of remembering your own mortality. So I remember, actually, no, I'm getting ahead of myself now. Marcus Aurelius said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, what you say, what you think. He also says perfection of character is to live each day as if it was your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. Where is that? I won't find it right now. I can't remember where it was. But yeah, the Stoics believed that it was so important to keep death at the forefront of our minds because they understood like pretty much every thing of every part of nature understands is there's seasons to life. The flowers bloom and then they die, they return to the soil. There's the seasons, there's the trees shedding, there's all these kind of things, these cycles that the universe goes through. Humans are a part of that cycle. We're not separate from that cycle. We're not separate from the universe. We are part of the world. And we are born, we grow, we die, we return to the soil. Now you can have your beliefs about what happens after that, what happens before that, but we will die. Now, if anyone's listening and you have a very strong fear of death, maybe just pause it for a while. I would just add to that though, is for many years, I had a very intense fear of death. It created a lot of anxiety and panic and existential dread. Now I don't have that. And the point of the Stoics is this, right? We will die one day. It's a natural part of life. But we live as if we'll never die. Seneca says, we are mortal, but we act as if we have 1,000 years to live. And basically, he's just saying is like, we live as if we've got forever to do all the things we want to do. We live as if we have a world, millions of years to tell people we love them, to be present, to do all the things we've ever desired. So we put them all off. But the Stoics understood is like, no, we don't. We don't have all this time. We only have this moment. And I learned something really great from Shoheng Yi at the Shaolin Temple, which really changed my perspective on this even more. But we only have, as much as we know, we only have this one life, right? So any delaying, any going, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do it when I'm older, I'll do it once I'm married, I'll do it once I've graduated, I'll do it once I've retired, I'll do it once the kids are old enough and they've left home. You're just delaying life, the only thing you ever have. You only ever have this one life. And so we shrink because we deny death. And in denying death, we deny life. But the Stoics understood that having death at the forefront of your mind brings so much zest, so much presence to the thing we have. Like right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm aware. Okay, I'll get to a separate point. I was speaking to Shang Ye at the Shaolin Temple, and on the topic of death, and I was saying like, yeah, we will die one day. Memento mori, we'll die one day, and I really thought I understood it. And he said, no, you won't just die one day. This moment could be your last. This moment right here, he said, this moment right here, William, you could get up, walk out that door, and you could die. I could die. So live it like that. So now, when Marcus Aurelius says perfection of character is to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense, I always wondered what that meant. I thought that meant living life to the fullest, like YOLO, right? What it means is right now, as I'm talking to you and you're listening to me, this could be my last. So I need to live me talking to you right now as if I was going to die any moment. And what does that mean? It means to be fully here, fully feeling life. It also means to be very true to my character so that when I die, I lived in that moment fully. I was fully myself. I was fully authentic. And that was my life. Because the only life we have is this present moment. Okay? Is that making sense? Who Wants to Live Forever? That's one of my favorite songs. Freddie Mercury. One of my favorite songs. Yeah, death is the only certainty. Is the only certainty. Do I have thoughts on Brian Johnson, who believed they will never die? If that was possible, then life would turn upside down. I do have my thoughts on Brian Johnson. I've actually done some work with Brian Johnson, but here's my thoughts. I'm not a fan of his philosophy. I didn't know. I'm a huge fan of a lot of his work. I'm not a fan of his philosophy that he shared. I wasn't aware of it until one day I came across a post of his philosophy about life, and I'm not a fan of it. I don't agree with it, but he can still have these thoughts. I'm not saying he's wrong or whatever, but I love what he's doing because he's putting millions and millions into research. He's researching a thing that most people will never research. He's literally the test subject, and he's giving it all out there for free. I've learned so much from him. Like some things that have changed my life, I learned from him, and so I really admire that. And I'm just not a huge fan of his life philosophy, but that's just, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happens after this life. I feel like it's like Boromir. You just go out on the boat and float across the endless sea, and we're joined with our family, just going across the endless sea and the great voyage, and we'll end up somewhere, but who knows? But for now, all I know is I have this. This is all I have, this moment right here. You guys listening to me talking. That's all we ever have. It's such a good song. I didn't know he said his competition is God. I didn't know he said that. Yeah, I feel like he does say some stuff for effect, though. He's because he does some funny stuff. Okay, right. So back to memento mori. Yes, memento mori. Where are we on that? So, like, ways in which memento mori helped me, right? Initially, it was to get me to do things outside my comfort zone. So there'll be something I really want to do, and I was too scared to do it. I'll just remind myself, I'll be dead soon. None of this will matter. I always thought of the Steve Jobs uh, quote, and I actually get the Steve Jobs quote up now and read it to you. It's quite a long one, but obviously he was dying. He said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you're going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it, and that is how it should be. Because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new." So when I was wanting to take big risks or do things outside my comfort zone, some of the greatest decisions I ever made were on the fact of me going, I could die soon, and I don't want to left this undone. So that's how I took big risks. That's how I did things I really wanted to do. That's how I got past procrastination. That's how I got over fears and worries and resistance. But then the other thing is, and this became really strong once I had a daughter, but I started to think like, what if, like, something that made me sad. I remember reading a quote. It said, at some point, your mom put you down. Your mom picked you up and put you down for the last ever time, or your parent or your guardian. They put you down for the last ever time. And another one is that, like, one day you and your friends came home after a day in the park, after a beautiful day, messing about with all your best friends, and that's the last time you ever did it. And those two concepts, because we think like we will die and that's it. There's also moments die. Things will never happen again. So when I remember this, every moment I'm in, I'm like, this will be the last I ever have of it. This, me live streaming with you, I'll never do this again. Like, this actual live stream will never happen again. And it's beautiful because this is life. This is it. It's incredible. And I think when you start to see life that way, it feels incredible. It's like how rare of a gift this is. I'm not going to get into statistics. It's just a beautiful gift. And then I had this fear of death. So I'm jumping around today. I am, and I'm going to keep using the same excuse. I'm tired today. Very tired. Okay, so I had this fear of death for many years, and then through Stoicism, I overcame it. Didn't really care about death. Didn't have a fear of death. Didn't worry me at all. And then I have my daughter almost 3 years ago, and I start to develop an intense fear of death. Like, I'll be laying next to her in bed, and I'll get this like horrible existential dread, and it was like sickening. If you've got kids, you probably know what it feels like, and I will get it for a while, and eventually I started just going, like, I love you so much. Like, I love you so much. This fear is so intense. That's the love I have for you, and I just express that love to her. I'd let her know that she's loved. I'll make her feel loved, and I genuinely believe that fear of death, that fear I had around my daughter and the topic of death, it gave me so much love for her, and it helped me be such a good father. And that was a gift for her as well as me. Okay, we've got 2 more laws left, 2 more Stoic laws. The death box. I just think it's like, we deny death. We act like it's not a thing. It's going to happen to all of us. Um, and acting like it's not is just kind of silly because we can live fully. But I feel like the fear of death holds us back from ever truly living. All we ever have is this present moment. That's all we will ever have. There is nothing more than this present moment. And that sounds like quite restrictive, but when you realize that this present moment is infinite, something that I love to do is I genuinely believe is, here's an example. To an average person, a bottle of wine is just a bottle of wine. They're all the same. It's red or white or rosé, or or you got orange wine. But that's all it is. It's just a bottle of red liquid. But to someone that has looked deep enough within, someone that has examined the wine enough, they start to pick up on the notes, the tannins, the viscosity, the dryness, the sweetness, the flavors, the depth, the origin, the grape type, all these kind of things, the barrel that it was put in, and they can sense this depth, they can taste this richness. And I believe in life, if you can look deeper within the present moment, if you can start to notice the flavors of the present moment, you start to develop this sense that this present moment becomes richer. You get deeper and deeper, it becomes broader and broader. And suddenly the present moment isn't confining, it is a beautiful place that's infinite, it's vast. And that comes from noticing things, just like with the wine. With the wine, you taste it, you start to notice certain flavors, the body, the way it is on the tip of your tongue, the way it is at the back of your throat, the way it smells, the way it looks in the sun, all these kind of things. You start to do this more and more. You start to notice more of the depth. You start to notice flavor profiles. This is the same with life. When you start to be present, fully present, you'll start to notice things that you've never seen before. And suddenly the present moment is so vast and it's so beautiful. And this is one of the greatest things you can do as a person to become, like, there's some people you notice in life and they just feel so rich. They feel so real. And that's just because they're present. They're truly there with you. You do not step into the same river twice because you are never the same man or the same woman, and the river is never the same. Turtle and Kung Fu Panda. Yeah. Master Shifu. No, Master Oogway. Master Oogway. How is the culture horrible in Bulgaria around the culture of death? Yeah, rock. Yeah, like my fear of death disappeared, but then I had a kid and it just came back. Loads of fears came back. I was never scared of heights. In fact, I used to I used to do parkour on top of buildings and like jump across buildings and that kind of thing. And I used to love it. I have a daughter and I'm scared to go up like elevators and stuff. Like I'm looking down out of a window and I feel like uneasy. It's crazy. Start getting scared of flying. Like it's crazy what kids will do to you. Exactly. The best thing you can do for the people around you is be fully there. When to know to end a relationship. Okay, that's a tough one. When to know to end a relationship. If the question is on your mind, it's something worth addressing if it's on your mind. And it normally involves, I would say it doesn't involve making, it depends. If you have a semi or a healthy relationship, then it is worth, if that thoughts come to mind, is to communicate correctly and address it. I understand some relationships aren't so freely spoken, some are abusive, and you can't just do that. But if your relationship is semi-healthy or healthy, you suspect that they won't take it too bad, then you need to have open communication with them. You need to address it. Some of these things, I'm not going to tell you when to end it because it's different for every person. Some of your fears for wanting to end a relationship can be built from childhood traumas, can be built from attachment styles, that kind of thing. So I'm not going to say end it when you feel a certain way, because sometimes feelings are irrational. So I won't say that, but it's worth, if you have those thoughts and that's something you're asking me right now, then you need to communicate that with them. Communication is very important in relationships. COVID did lots of strange things to society. But one thing I noticed it did at the start is it made people appreciate the small things in life. I noticed people started picking up little hobbies, started diving into their hobbies, started having better relationships with people around them. It kind of all fell apart again when lockdown ended. But yeah, it did. And I think that idea of death brought people like, we're losing people around us. We have to love them more. We have to love them whilst we can. Never felt a fear of death, but rather suicidal at times. The problem seemed so heavy. Suicidal thoughts stem from avoiding external and associated pain. And the fear of death is backed by attachment. The fear of death is attachment. The fear of death is attachment to the physical, I suppose. Which some attachment is kind of needed for us to navigate a world. Like people always say, like, detach from the ego, kill the ego. But we are in a physical world of the material world. So like the ego does help us navigate through this life. And so does our physical body helps us navigate through this physical life. I suppose with ideation, the fear of death can disappear. And sometimes when you find something to live for, the fear of death can arise, which I guess is that attachment. Like I was saying with my daughter, that attachment to my daughter, that the fear of death arises because now I have something left to lose. Okay, I'm going to get on to the next one, then I'll get back to the chat. So part 6, protect your mind. The Stoics knew that your environment shapes your character, so you have to protect your mind from the external. It's called the inner citadel. You have to protect the inner from the outer. So things like social media, news, gossip, complaining, negative influences, all these things will infiltrate your mind. They will affect your soul. Marcus Aurelius says the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Let's get to that. Your mind will take on the character of your most frequent thoughts. Souls are dyed by thoughts, so dye your own with a succession of thoughts like these. For example, where life can be lived, so can a good life. But life can be lived in a palace. Therefore, a good life can be lived in a palace. Again, each creature is made in the interest of another. Its course is directed to that for which it was made. Its end lies into that which its course is directed. And where its end is, there also for each is its benefit and its good. It follows that the good of a rational creature is community. It has long been shown that we are born for community. Or was it not clear that inferior creatures are made in the interest of the superior, and the superior in the interest of each other? But animate is superior to inanimate, and rational to the merely animate. So Marcus Aurelius is talking about this. I went a bit off topic there, but I read the whole passage. Our souls are dyed with the colours of our thoughts. So he says, like I'm talking about the analogy of doctor's tools, if we develop these thoughts, and this goes back to Pythagoras, I'm going so off topic. I'm bouncing a bit too much today. If I'm bouncing, just tell me to chill. It goes back to the Pythagoras method that the Stoics learned from Pythagoras about reviewing your day. At the end of your day, you can ask certain questions. You can dye your soul with certain thoughts at the end of each day. Did I act with the virtue? Was I good? Did I live in accordance with nature? So Marcus Aurelius, see those questions he asks himself, he's dyeing his soul with the color of his thoughts. Now, if you are, remember Eleanor said, avoid TV. I think it's Eleanor said, avoid TV. If you're always watching the news and it's negative, 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 which just like I think we're all aware is fear sells, negativity sells, hate sells. So the social media platforms, news platforms, newspapers, they know for a fact that if they are putting out fear and hate, they make more sales, they get more attention. And that's what it will always be. Now it's crazy. You look at social media and you think the world is the worst place. I've seen something about the UK recently. It scored really well on certain mental health tests, like the general population, and things were actually doing good. But from my perspective, I was like, the UK is the worst it's ever been, because that's what we're seeing. That's all we see on social media. It's all we see on the news. But actually, it's like slowly getting better. And that's another point. But the point is like all we see on social media is hate, is division. But then in the real life, it's not like that. And news is the same. Gossip's the same. We listen to people gossip and we think, oh, the world is terrible. It's like, yeah, because we're listening to all these negative influences. So you have to protect your mind. You have to avoid these things. You have to fortify it with better avenues. I remember when I used to be quite miserable. This is not when I was depressed. It was like I went for a phase of just being miserable when I was trying to improve my life, but I was struggling. I would go onto Reddit, and there was a subreddit called Humans Being Bros, and then there was one called Made Me Smile. And I'd just go through them and just look at all these happy, nice things about the goodness of humanity, and it made me feel good. So here's a question. If your mind becomes whatever you feed it, would you change your diet? If your mental health, if your life became whatever you fed it, would you change your diet? I think you might do. That's a question worth answering. We're on to the last point, but I'm just going to answer some of your questions. Life is beautiful. That's really nice, Eleanor. Something you put there, life is beautiful. Is a Mike Tyson quote. He says, life is beautiful, but you got to remember the good and bad as being beautiful. Let me just, Mike Tyson, life is beautiful. He says, where is it? Where's this quote? I love this quote. I'm never going to find this quote. Life is a beautiful quote. I'm struggling to find this now. Oh, I haven't got the full one, but life is beautiful. You have to accept the good and the bad as being beautiful. And like some people it goes on to explain, like some people just want to accept the good, but you can't have the good without the bad. It's all intertwined. It's all wrapped up in one. Life makes me. That's about Bulgaria. Life makes me face the death from a really young age. It fucks up your mentality really bad. I see what you mean now. Yeah, that's something I always repeat. Is just this moment is the moment. This is it. This is it. Alan Watts said it. This is it. Literally, this right now. This is life. You're not going to find a different life. You're not going to find something else out there. This is it right now. You listen to me. Like, this is it. Oh, Shanu, that's good to hear about my videos. I'm glad. Sorry, I'm just reading on the chat. You know these streamers where they're like running around driving cars, and like I know that's like you're really not supposed to do that, but I've seen some streamers driving and reading the chat. How do they do it? I don't I think it's terrible that they're doing that, but I'm also wondering how people do all these things whilst reading the chat. It's so hard to get through everything. Okay. Oh, okay. In a world where we, especially me, are so obsessed with material things which can be used for our development, how can we learn to be less obsessed? This is like the foundation of Stoicism, right? So the end goal of Stoicism, the telos, as they say, it's a cool word to mean end goal. The telos of Stoicism is to live in accordance with nature, which really simply put, is to live in accordance with virtue and to be pro-social. Right. So the virtues, if we simplify them even more, courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. So we build this foundation based off of virtue. That is the only important thing. Now, people that don't know much about Stoicism, they think that the Stoics say, get rid of belongings, only follow virtue. That's not true. They believed things were either good, bad, or indifferent. Virtue alone is good, vice alone is bad, everything else is indifferent. And they had preferred indifferences. So they believed that money, health, um, success, respect, while they're not good, they are preferred and they can be used for good. So these belongings that you use for your development, these material things you use for your development, that's okay. You can move towards them, you can have them. They do result in development, but you need to make sure that you operate from a foundation of good character, and that good character is prioritized. That is number one. That anything you move towards is based off of you being a good person first, and you'll never steer away from you being a good person. Yeah, I love that quote. Death is like being stupid. It only hurts the people around you. It's only hard for the people around you. Yeah. Uh, may you never stop the good work. Thank you, Joe. I'll keep it up. This live stream is becoming free a week. Like next week, I'm posting a schedule, and I'll be live streaming 3 times a week, sharing these Stoic principles. Um, I did not know that about the news in Bulgaria. That's really interesting. Uh, uh, I never knew that about Bulgaria. Of course, life could be easier, but okay, right. I'll get to the last point. Part 7, the last of the Stoic laws to what was today's topic? Kill negative thoughts. Okay, so the final law to kill negative thoughts is to be the good you wish to see in the world. And this is something that really stuck to me at quite a young age, but it came through examples that I've seen. And I remember a lot of the times it's like I was waiting for a hero. I was waiting for someone to come and save me. I was waiting for someone to change the world. And we have it all the time today. It's like we complain about the mess in the streets. We complain that people aren't helping the elderly. We complain that people aren't being friendly. We complain about all these kind of things. But we never look at ourselves and go, we can be the one to change it. And many of these little things, like the mess we see on the park, my local park is always littered. And at a younger age, I'd have been like, oh, someone needs to clean this up. The council needs to do something about this. Someone needs to pick up litter. And then one day, I just thought, I can pick up the litter. It's not hard. It's like I walk there every single day. It takes 5 minutes to pick up litter. I could do that. And it changes things. And, I said I was waiting my whole life for a hero to come save me. I became that hero. I remember I speak about this quite a lot, but it's something that was really poignant. It really stuck out to me. My mum was driving me home a long time ago, and it was frozen. That was on a steep hill, frozen, and there was a big group of young lads. They're probably the same age as me, and they're all waiting there by the cars. And I thought they were up to no good. I thought they were like throwing snowballs at people's cars, just being a nuisance, because that's what the people in my neighborhood were like. But they were waiting for people who needed help, cars that got stuck, and they were pushing them out of the snow. I remember looking at these youths and I was like, they didn't wait for no one. Like, they're not set up by the government. They didn't have the parents go, hey, go outside and do this. A big group of friends thought, I'm going to wait at this hill because we've seen cars skidding and crashing. We've seen people get stuck. We've seen people not be able to get home. I'm going to help them get home. And that something clicked in my head that day. Literally a few days later, I saw a guy break down and I ran over and pushed his car to the petrol station so I could get help and helped him. And he was very thankful. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't see the example of those youths, which I thought was amazing. You can be the good you wish to see in the world. Another thing is the other day, the only bad that came from me picking up rubbish on the park is I was picking up rubbish one night on the park, one afternoon. I actually filmed one of the videos on Instagram. I posted it, but my key fell out my pocket because I was leaning over picking up litter, and my key fell out my pocket. And a 1 hour walk turned into like 5 hours of me on the park looking for my key, and it was getting darker and darker. I couldn't find my key, and eventually I find it, but it was so late. I was like a madman looking in the grass in the pitch black for this key. Yeah, be the good you wish to see in the world. Stop asking for a hero. Stop asking when's something going to change. Be that change. And this is what I'm talking about, this live stream, right? That we spoke about this. I know there's some people in here that haven't been in here before. I was describing it as like the fellowship. There's a great evil, the Dark Lord Sauron, and he was literally the epitome of evil, could never be stopped. But then a group came together, the group of the most unlikely folk, even some little hobbits that they could never change the world. That was the whole point of the hobbits being there, because no one expects that. Anyway, they take on the Dark Lord. I'm thinking of Voldemort. Dark Lord, he should not be named, takes on Sauron, the epitome of evil, just some small hobbits. And that's what, like, I know it's funny to say, but it's like this chat is like the fellowship. We're just setting out. We're joining together, and we're going to set out on our adventure. We're being the good we wish to see in the world. And I've seen it. I've seen some of you on my Instagram helping people out, doing some good, and it's just it's amazing to see. And I know if you were here last week or the week before, I keep using this analogy of the Monkey King. The little girl goes to the Monkey King, is like, I want to help, I want to do something with my life. And the Monkey King goes, you see this pebble, this little pebble right here? That's you. You're just this little pebble. You're nothing. You're tiny. And the girl gets a little pebble, throws it into the lake. This huge lake spans for miles, and the ripples just ripple out. And she says, I may be a little pebble, but look what I can do to that lake. I can do that to the world. And that's the way I see this chat is like, and what I'm trying to do is sending ripples out across the world. I speak about this all the time. I wrote about it in my book, that bin man. One bin man one time got me a book when I was younger, when I was 18. He handed me a book. He jumped off the back of his truck, handed me a book. And that one act of kindness has led to me doing so much of the things that I consider I've done good in my life, the things I've helped people. I did it because of that one bin man. His one act of kindness. You don't understand what your good can do for this world. I always think, and something for you to really consider, the butterfly effect. It's something to really consider is old people, right? And lonely people as well. But old people is a loneliness epidemic. They'll sit in their rooms alone and they won't see anyone for weeks, right? They don't have family that check up on them. They're lonely. And they haven't had an interaction with a real person. And then they walk into the shop and you smile at them. You say something nice to them. You speak to them for 10 minutes. Do you know what that can do for them? It can literally, and I know this is fact, it can literally save lives. It does save lives, and it has saved lives. Just a smile or a small conversation can save a life. So just think about that when you go about your day. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know the good you're putting out into the world, but you are putting good out into the world. Marcus Aurelius says, you have done good, they have received it. Why then, like fools, do you look for a third thing in return? You've done the good, they've received it. You've changed their life, and you've changed your life. Okay, but that's it. I want to ask you one question. I'll leave you with one question, and then I can answer some of your questions. But which of these 7 Stoic laws do you think would change your life the most if you practiced it every day? So but the lesson is wrapped up, and that's the 7 Stoic laws. I'll talk to you for a bit longer. England won. I'll catch the highlights. Anyone can do good without for others without much effort. Just needs genuine. We disregard the small. I always say it. Never disregard good. Like a little good for this world is a lot of good for this world. Absolutely. Kindness is rare these days, I think, and I see that, and it's quite often mistaken for other things. I don't think kindness is as rare from my personal feeling is that social media online makes it feel rare. But if you go out into public, I think you see a lot of good people. I see a lot of good people, a lot of friendly neighbors that are willing to extend themselves to put put themselves on the line to help someone out and to do good for someone. I see it quite a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Memento mori. That will, yeah. If you practice it every day, it is life changing. Absolutely. Yeah, kindness does get mistaken for other things. You said this last week, and um, it's hard to balance. It is hard to balance, I suppose. Um, but that, yeah, I think we can. You'll learn that. I think you'll learn that you can't risk yourself sometimes to do good. You can't risk your actual physical health, or you can't risk your safety sometimes. Um, do good and throw it in the water. I like that. Okay, faithful calamari. I'll give you the briefest recap, but this stream is available on the page, and I'll keep talking. I'll be answering questions, so if you have any questions, but it's available. The full stream is going to be available on the page. But it was the 7 Stoic laws to end negative thinking, right? And this came from my personal experience that my statement at the start was that these Stoic laws can remove 99% of negative thinking. For me, that was the case, is because I was thinking in the past, thinking in the future, and in the imagination, where problems and struggles are infinite past, infinite future, infinite imagination. So I was ruminating and worried and anxious and depressed about everything. And most of it was never real. So that led me to being very miserable and really physically struggling as well. But then I learn all these Stoic principles, and all of this goes away. Like I probably have if I had 1,000 negative thoughts a day, now I get 2, because sometimes it's just necessary, and sometimes you can't stop thoughts. So part 1 was the wooden box. The wooden box is this idea we're handed the box to us of life. It's this philosophical concept that you're given this life. I was given this life of William, this wooden box, who's anxious, depressed, miserable, loser, and will never amount to anything. But then I learned the concept that I also have the tools. I was also given the tools to shape my life. So I started to shape my life to become the person I want to become. Slowly, you whittle away at it. The second one was focus on what you do control. So again, 99% of our life is outside of our power. So within our power, as Epictetus says, our opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion. Not within our power, our health, wealth, reputation, office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. So everyone talking in chat, I'll get to all your questions, but I just want to recap this for faithful calamari. So I gave this example, this exercise of if you're having a problem today, you're having any problem that's on your mind and you keep ruminating about it, just draw a line down a piece of paper and put what's within your power, what's not within your power. And within your power, generally speaking, will be your opinion, what you decide to move towards, what you decide to move away from. That's generally it in your struggle, in your problem, right? Not within your power will be everything else, people's opinions, the weather, the outcome, whatever it is. And that'll be a super long list. And what you should be able to do, the Stoic exercise, is to say, okay, let's not focus on any of that. Let's just focus on what I do have power over. And at the start, it's quite hard, but over time, you get better and better at it. Okay, because most of our stress of today are things outside of our power. And we learned that today about the football game, England game. I don't control if they win. What's the point in getting stressed if they're going to win or lose? I don't have power over that. I know it's a terrible example, but it's a thing that people actually struggle with. Number 3 was separate facts from stories. Most suffering comes from our interpretation, not with the actual thing. So if I feel anxious, it's just a feeling within me, but then I create a story around that feeling. Something terrible must have happened. My life's ending. People hate me. That's not true. Just the actual feeling is true. So Marcus Aurelius said, if you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it. So don't jump to conclusions. Don't create worst case scenarios. Don't try to read people's minds. Don't try to catastrophize. Part 4 was turn obstacles into training. So instead of asking why me, ask, what is the world trying to teach me? Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And the Stoics saw it as being a wrestler. So challenges are a gift from God. And the harder the challenge is, the greater the opponent. Because if you want to be an Olympic level wrestler, you need an Olympic level sparring partner. And that's the way the Stoics saw it, is like any challenge is a gift. That's genuinely, like, that's how I see it. When I'm going through difficulties, when something really like bad or dispreferred happens to me, I get a fire in my belly. I'm like, this is life teaching me something. I will learn something from this. Number 5 is memento mori. Remember you're mortal. We deny death. Death is a fact of life. It's like the changing of the seasons. It's like the falling of trees in the fall, and they break down into the soil, and it repeats this cycle. That's us. That we go through that same process of death and death and birth and death. I was going to say rebirth, but that's different beliefs, whatever you believe in. But I know we go through the cycle of death and birth, and that's a fact of life. And if we can remember, like the Stoics say, we remember this, it makes our life so much more full, because this is all we ever have, this moment. We only get this one life. We can't deny it. Marcus Aurelius says, perfection of character is to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. Okay. Number 6 was protect your mind. So we only have power over the internal. So when I say the dichotomy of control, our opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion, that's the internal world. We don't control the external. So the external, like gossip, the news, complaining, social media, negative influencers, we need to like protect ourselves from that. We need to remove ourselves from that. We need to distance ourselves from that. We need to protect what's inside, because that's what truly matters. Because Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So we have to be careful what we keep feeding it. Because the question I said, if your mind became whatever you fed it, would you change your diet? Part 7 was, be the good you wish to see in this world. My whole life, this is the final one. My whole life, I was waiting for a hero. I was waiting for someone to do something. I gave the example of littering. I was always wanting someone to fix the park. Oh, why can't the council clean up? One day I was like, I could just clean up. And I did. So yeah, that's all of it. Very sorry I had to rush through that. But hopefully that's cool. That was a speed recap. Can anyone who watched the whole thing confirm if that was a good recap? Was my recap then good? Because then Faithful Calamari can know whether they got a good recap. But the whole stream's available anyway. Yeah, Shano. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong as well, but try practice it. That could be your homework. Thank you. This is the most wholesome live stream I've ever seen. I'm trying. I'm trying. I've really, like, genuinely, I've been wanting to live stream for ages. I resisted it for a long time. Just there's a lot of resistance there. I don't know why. I was shying away from it. I genuinely get so excited for these, and afterwards I feel so good. Like in the live stream, I feel amazing. Like anyone that actually knows me, I'm a calm person. Like I'm not like really upbeat. But this is like, I mean, this isn't like crazy upbeat. It's just, you see on social media and these live streamers, they're wild. They're like really up there with their energy. But this is upbeat for me because I love it. It's really cool. I'm speaking about what I love, interacting with people that have a similar mind, that also love this idea, that also grasp the concept that we can be the good we wish to see in the world. And a group of people, I find it fascinating and amazing, and it's inspiring for me. A group of people that aren't just grasping onto the rubbish that the world has thrown at us, like all the hate, all the like clout chasing, all that kind of thing, like this sensationalizing everything. So I find it fascinating. I watched your interview, don't remember who with, but he said that even if we can't see anything good, it's a good way, an opportunity to practice Stoicism. Who said that? I can't remember who said that to me. I can't remember. Donald Robertson, no. Gregory Sadler, maybe. Oh, brilliant. I'm glad the recap was good. Yeah, I tried not to go for it too quick, but I also tried to not be too long. But like I was saying at the start, I will be posting the schedule tomorrow is the plan. Although I've got a lot of work to catch up on after, because I was in Rome, which was awesome. I got to see Marcus Aurelius, the huge equestrian statue, and lots of cool stuff. The pillar of Marcus Aurelius pillar, which like it's like huge. It's this huge pillar, beautiful, in the middle of the square, and you can see the story of Aurelius, and you see about the great storm in that battle, which was like they believe was divine intervention, because the odds were stacked against them, and a storm came and saved the day. Like it's so cool and so detailed. Yeah, the schedule's coming, and I will be going full time, which will be. I don't want to give too many promises because I have to stick to my promises. That's why I was live today, because I don't want to let people down. Well, I don't want to let you all down because you've all really been amazing in being like a good part of the fellowship, interactive, helping, supporting. It's like really amazing. So I don't want to just let you down. But I'm aiming for 3 times a week at the start, which will be Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, if all goes to plan. And today, actually, one thing I'd like to know is I know quite a few of you have been in every single stream. How did today compare? Because today I came with the least notes. I had the least amount of notes ever. And I'm thinking I'd do better with less notes. And I might just start going like literally no notes and just rambling. Seems to work best for me. It's like when I'm trying to read stuff, it's really confusing. And I need a bit of leniency today. I haven't slept yet because of the travel. Terrible time to catch flight. So all roads lead to Rome. That's true. I think he's from the USA, but I can't remember the name. I can't remember who that was. Maybe Adisa. I want a bit of clarification on the beard thing. Whilst Rufus suggests to keep hairstyles simple to reduce attachment, Epictetus, on the other hand, said that he won't let them take off his beard. Epictetus, from my understanding, said things for effect. He was also made a lot of jokes. A lot of the beard stuff is tied to this idea of philosophers having the beards and the coarse grey gowns. It's not essential. It was like an image thing. Now, I can't remember that teaching too well, but when I think of Seneca talks about it as like, you don't need the beard, but if you want it, you can have it. You don't, like he's basically saying you don't need to be tied into this thing of like, this is who I am. A philosopher has a big beard, long hair. They don't cut their hair. They wear a coarse grey robe because that's the image of a philosopher. Seneca started saying like, well, no, maybe I want to wear purple. Like, it doesn't actually affect who I am. But again, with like, you got to think about Epictetus being quite humorous. It's just that like no threat of death will make him go against his own will, because he always has the will. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not, the exact quote isn't in my head, but I'm going off my thoughts right now is, if you talk about will, but we have our power to decide, we have a power to decide how we want to respond in any given set of circumstances. And because Epictetus talks about this a lot, if you threaten to chop off his head, if you threaten to, what's the word, exile him, says it's still not going to make him chop off his beard. It still won't make him go against his character. He won't do it because he still always has he can always choose, no matter what you threaten him with. He can always choose. Like you could cut off it, like you could cut off his head, but you can't make him cut off his beard, if that makes sense. Yeah, there is a lot to it. There's a lot to it. I can't remember the exact point you're on about, but hopefully that clears up a few things. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed this one the most. I'm glad you enjoyed this one the most. That's good. Things are going well. It's also been the most active. That you guys have been awesome. So it's been like really interactive, which I think just makes it so much better because I'm learning. We're all learning together. We're all students. Yeah, we've got a good fellowship going on, and soon we're gonna march to Mordor. Okay, yeah, less points. If you agree with that, I agree with that. Less points is easier to follow. It's easier for me. It also means because I'm going on to 3 lessons a week or 3 streams a week, I don't have to spend so much time planning, and I can just jump into them. And hopefully over time it just goes well. That's kind of the attitude I've been taking for everything. Is just like what the Instagram videos. I don't plan them. I just film them because I don't really have time to plan, but I have time to give to the actual thing. Okay. Okay, so I'll be wrapping up. Any questions before I wrap up? Anything you want to say? Anything you want me to think about for next week? I know some of you suggested some topics. I can't remember what you said off the top of my head. See heads. Okay, yeah. So I will be posting to the community tab. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll be posting just before I go live. I'll always be posting a few hours before saying when I'm going to go live. I'll be posting a schedule on the YouTube community, but the Instagram is where, if anything happens, because I'll do the live streams, as the Stoics say, fate permitting. So I'll do it 100% fate permitting. I can't be sure if I die, I'm not going to turn up to the live stream, you know. So like I say I'm going to do a live stream, but if I get struck by lightning or my house collapses on me, whatever happens, I'm not going to be there, and I apologize. And maybe you'll see on my Instagram, William got struck by lightning, so he can't make the live stream. No, so yeah, I do have 500k subscribers and 11 people watching, which is interesting, right? No, so basically, I got those subscribers years ago, and I stopped making content for a long time, and over time, just slowly losing subscribers because YouTube's not really based on subscribers anymore. It's based on active community. It's based on who's actually here and here and now. Because before, if you subscribed, you'd get that notification. It'll push it out to you. If I make a video, if I make a live stream, my live stream goes out to no one. I think it might be going out to people now, but when I was doing the first few live streams, it wasn't being pushed out to anyone. So YouTube says you've got 500k subscribers. I'm not going to push it out to anyone because those subscribers aren't interested in your live stream. They don't care. So what I'm doing is actually, I don't care about subscribers. I care about a community that we're building, and that's it. Because 10 active people that are interested in something is better than 500,000 people that are just interested in some old viral videos I made ages ago that aren't really to do with what I teach now. And I learned that the hard way. I learned that on Instagram. I posted a video of me and Shiheng Ye, and then it got me like 20,000 followers in like one night, and they didn't care about me. So I'd make a post talking, and it would get like 10 likes because they didn't follow for me. They followed for Shiheng Ye. So I realized when I started just posting my true intimate things, because on Instagram, you'll see I posted a lot of like, it's just about my personal feelings, my personal philosophy, that kind of stuff, my personal teachings. And I started teaching them, sharing it every day. I get way better interaction and way better community, which is what it's all about. I'm not really bothered about subscribers anymore. I mean, I never was, but the subscribers just came by accident. But I will be. These live streams have been like in a test phase because it's practice for me. Thank you. No. So you can ask me any question. I'm not. I'm not sensitive to anything. If you want to ask anything personal, whatever, I couldn't. It's just like I'm here to share whatever. But I will be sharing it soon to my audience on Instagram, which is where my core group is. That's where like most of the people I communicate with are, and it's a good group on Instagram that share similar thoughts and want to help people, want to do good. So I will be sharing these live streams every 3 times a week to them, so it'll get a bigger audience in here. But for now, I just wanted to develop a strong foundation because I think we need that strong foundation when times get tough. And I'm already noticing it now. It's like it fills me with a lot of confidence knowing like the same 4 or 5 people have been in every single live stream. It fills me with a lot of confidence. It's really nice that I know we've got the same people and we have the same like rapport. Can't even remember words today, but it's like it's really nice. No, the next live stream is guaranteed next Wednesday, same time. But after that, the schedule's being posted tomorrow, and I can't say for certain, but it should be Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday each week. But it will be due to change. The change will only be an increase. But yeah, yeah, exactly. No, it's all about quality. The internet, like that's why if you follow me on Instagram, I don't follow trends. I don't do the AI thing. I don't follow hawks or anything because I don't want random people following me because a video went viral. Like why would I want that? They're following for a viral template. They're following for a viral format. I want people following me because they are interested in what I'm talking about, or they have similar thoughts, or they want to learn more about it. I know, like when I said with Shiheng Yi posting one of his videos of an interview I did with him, it was terrible for my page because I had like 20,000 people overnight that didn't even want to be following me. They only followed because he was there. So yes. Yeah, but if you don't want to miss things, obviously subscribe here or just check the community page. And you can head over to my Instagram, William Mulligan Brother, and I do update on that. Although I haven't been as active on there for the past about a week, just because I've been, like I always say, I've been going for some growth of my own, and I don't like to internalize things and turn them into lessons until I've gone through it. But I'm coming through to the other side now, so I'll be back on it. Okay, any more questions before I wrap up and go to bed? I need to catch up on some sleep. It's late in India as well. I should be sleeping now, keeping the third law in mind. We'll keep it in check. Okay, yeah, that's something to keep in mind actually about the times I do live streams. I'll stagger them a little bit because if I do it for the same time every single day, obviously certain countries can't make it because of time differences. Shiheng Yi is a wonderful human. Like I always get asked a lot because obviously I have a very good relationship with him, and I've gone to visit him quite a lot, and I keep in contact with him. And a lot of people always ask me, "Is like, what's he like in real life? Is he real?" I would say whatever you see online, I personally feel like he's better in real life. Like he's not as talkative. He doesn't like. I know he talks for hours. In real life, he takes a back seat. He lets people do their thing. He's very encouraging, very kind. I've got so many great stories. Like his mental fortitude is insane. So I remember this one time. It's winter. It's freezing, And we didn't know it at the time. He had a really bad toothache and he needed an emergency surgery on his tooth. So we're all there. We're all wrapped up warm. We're all working outside. We're filming outside during winter. I don't know why we decided to do it. We did the interview outside. He's just sat there in his robes. And he's going for hours. And I was shaking. Like, I was shaking. I think I was holding like the sound equipment or something. I'm shaking cold for hours. And I think everyone was freezing. And he's just sat there so composed the whole time. We go inside. I think we have some food. And then we're getting ready for the next interview, which is, again, another few hours of him speaking. And he brings out a water bottle for my sister, hot water bottle for my sister. And then he's bringing out like blankets and stuff. And then he sits down again. Anyway, the next day, someone comes to apologize to us, says, he really apologizes for his energy. He had to be rushed off to emergency surgery on his teeth, and he was in severe pain. And I was like, I remember thinking, like, what energy? He was in such good energy. He was so kind, so good. And it's just amazing that this whole time he was in like agony and he was being so amazing, and he didn't even mention it. Okay. Yeah, but besides that point is the Shaolin Temple Europe is like that place is amazing. I love it there. All the people there, it's like we would arrive with all the equipment, filming equipment, and all our stuff, and like they just all come out, help, make the most amazing food. It's so nice there. Their training is insane. Like, I thought their training was for camera, and then I'm just walking by one of the rooms. I look through the door, and they're hitting themselves with like metal on their shins. They're doing concrete rolling. We've got like these concrete pillar, like huge things rolling on their shins. And then I did some of that training with them, and they are just like so tough. Like, I can't explain the pain. Like, they did this thing where you hit your wrists together on the bone there. Like, can't even get on camera. Like, the hard bit, and hitting them against each other. And I was in agony. It was all bruised, and they didn't even feel anything. Yeah, it's just like, he's a really great guy. Okay, I will be heading off. Thank you all for coming in. I will be live this time next week, same day. I will be posting the schedule tomorrow on here, and any other updates. I've just noticed a mark on my screen. That's not good. It's like the screen's a bit damaged. And I will be posting scheduling to Instagram and YouTube. Thank you, everyone. It's actually really great to have you all so invested in the chat and talking, because it just makes things so good. And it's like, I'll go back again to the stones, or the fellowship, but we're all these little stones, and we think we can't do much in this world. But I'm telling you, one person can send ripples out across the sea, across the lake. Together, we can do many great things. And it comes from just being a good person. Thank you very much. Good night. Good night. Good night. I always struggle to find the end stream button. Okay, there it is.